been building with him for a few days now, and he is absolutely someone that really impressed me. And y'all know that it's hard to do. Coming from someone of a former elected official as well as from a legacy of political dynamite. Um, what he's talking about, what his platform is, with writing, which of course had to have. So, without any, I'll let you introduce yourself, candidate McClam. One moment, go ahead.
Hey, how you doing, everybody? My name is Larry McClam, running for Clarkston City Council, and it's most definitely been a journey for the last 2 months, but definitely looking forward to bringing some change to the city of Clarkston because there is a lot going on, and the people are excited. I'm excited, and I'm ready to get to work.
I'm excited too. For a couple of reasons. Like I said, again, welcome to the show, welcome to the table. We are streaming live on multiple platforms, but exclusively we want to say hello to our Glow Nation on YouTube as well as our only community, broadcasting live from our host site, Urban Country Film. So all family, all here, thank you all so for attending and being a part of this color conversation. Really excited
Yes,
to see you
thank
in
you
the
for having
mix.
me.
For one,
For having me.
quite honestly, to see someone that is from Florida, that was like a real, boom for me, a little beam for me to see that you are from Florida as well.
Right,
For
right,
two, to see a brother that is a black blue, a black member of the Blue Brotherhood of law enforcement.
right,
Anyone knows me know that I have a nephew who recently just resigned from the Atlanta Police Department, but
right,
absolutely has been lifelong. He always wanted to be a member. Always wanted to be a member of law enforcement. So
right, right, right.
always going to hold a bit of a different, interest for me when we talk about law enforcement and community because there's not that opposition. And then, of course, last but not least, because of the fact that I also, as being a former elected official, but I also sat on the civilian investigative panel, which was the oversight board for law enforcement in Miami. And I have always shared with people, or share with people that I learned a lot from the role of being an elected official, but the impact that being a part of that CIP had on the entire city, on the entire city of Miami was a lot more felt than um, the concentrated effort that I saw in the local area of Coconut Grove. So I'm
Right,
excited about this conversation. So I'm going to ask you, just because we got to use your imagination here.
right,
But
right, right, right.
we're seated at this table. We're seated at the table,
Right.
and y'all know that's the big question now for our singles these days. What you're bringing to the
Right.
table. So I want to know, what are you bringing to the table when we're talking about serving the community? What are you bringing to the table?
Well, I would say for me, it's unique, in a sense because with me being a police sergeant and being in law enforcement, I think that part of what I bring to the table is not only a community activist slash representative type of approach, but also a law approach. I was just talking to someone prior to you, just about one of the things I want to do is a workshop. Just to teach a lot of the residents that are interested, and just about basic rights. You know, um, dealing with law enforcement and other things like that. Because a lot of people really don't know the rights. And I think that it's important, especially in the climate that we live in, to know your rights and other things like that. I mean, of course, working on lowering taxes and business licenses and trying to get more of the businesses put in with a lot of people that's trying to get the businesses and other things are good too. But I think that with me, I bring to the table that overall approach. I can be um, um, I could be a chameleon to my environment. So, I could, switch it up and be talking about trying to lower taxes, to talking about revamping the police department, back on to, you know, this person that might be interested in opening a business. So I think that just having that one size fits all type of approach in one person, I think is very unique in this race.
Now, the business uh, element that also speaks near and dear to my heart because I am a owner. I have an exclusive space, and it's exclusively plant-based cafe, or it's a what I call a pop-up kitchen. So
Right,
I'm able to go to various events and have this particular opportunity to on the spot. So it's kind of think of in the same regard as a what do they call it, the food truck. This is a
mm,
mobile outside kitchen, right? And
wow,
when we're talking about entrepreneurship, when we're talking about being creative with these new ideas, it, it does get away from the brick and mortar. And the reason why I was always interested in avoiding the brick and mortars because, like what you mentioned, if you business taxes will eat you up on top of whatever you're paying to rent
right,
this particular space. So
right, right,
a lot of reform does need to consider because I think that anytime you have a lot of overhead in these ventures, it deters people that are, of course, making the least amount of money. And
right,
just
right, right,
systematically, state by state, that still is going to be African American people. So tell
right.
me a little bit more, Il. Why does that appeal to you so much with making sure that you're supporting our small businesses and our minority owned businesses in this venture?
Well, because minorities, to include Black people, and of course, I haven't been in there. I plan to address that when I get in. But apparently, the minority Black business owners have been getting pushed to the rear, and their licenses have either been being extended for a period of time, or they just never hear anything back. And I think that's unacceptable, just because the city ain't that busy. It has to be a little bit more to the story. So that's near and dear to me because we have a lot of businesses that are um, 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 nobody's occupying the businesses. So I remember a couple years ago, there was quite a few people that own businesses and other things. But if that is true of what the city is practicing, then I don't blame a lot of the business owners for leaving. However, I think that it's important for a city council representative to look into it and see why. Because if we have a lot of discrimination um, with that, then that's a cleanup that needs to be taken care of as soon as possible.
Agreed, agreed. Why city council? What type of influence does the city council have in Clarkston?
Well, the city council is very important. The city council runs the city manager, who runs the overall operations of the city. So, in essence, when there's an issue, the city council will go to the city manager and have them address it. One of the things I want to change is, I want us to have a little bit more of a checks and balances, where we make sure that the things that we ask are being taken care of. Usually, a lot of the times you just tell the person about it and there's no follow up, and that usually runs into a lot of the issues, because a lot of people still go unserviced because either, the way things have been running, when you give orders to the city manager, they kind of, have the option to either listen to what you said or kind of just, do it their own way. And the city council doesn't check to make sure that things were done a specific way. So I definitely want to bring a little bit more transparency, and we want to make sure that everybody is on the same page and that we follow up for these residents that are having these issues. But the city council is very important. The mayor has their particular role, but the city council is really the ones who make the decisions for the city.
So that was kind of, I think, similar to our feeding post, our the way the feed went. It was city council. In Clarkson, it seems to me like the city council acts as the commission. So is that fair? That's correct.
Yeah, they ask for permission, but usually if you have the majority vote on something, then usually it doesn't need the mayor to make the decision as long as you
Over,
have.
yes, and that's the way
Right.
it should be. That's the way it
Correct.
should be. Yeah.
Right. Right. Right.
The council should act as a majority vote, being able to overrule the mayor.
Correct. That's pretty
Okay,
much
so in
how it's ran. Yeah.
council that I right, in our in where the one that I sat on, it was city council, and then there was a commission, and then there was the mayor. So when you have those types of I want to say interference, you leave the real power of the council, supposed to be the closest to the community.
I agree with you.
In regards to their influence.
Right. Right. Right.
Correct.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Um,
It's important.
how long have you been eyeing this position? Was this something that kind of just came up new, or
Well,
were you able to see, a couple of councils run a little bit beneath what you wanted, what you expected, or what you thought a council should run as, and you decided to go ahead and pull up a seat to the table?
well, I've been eyeing the position for a little while. I kind of had been just working with the community, kind of behind the scenes. However, when I started seeing a lot of the gentrification and other things that was being formed in the area, I felt like that was um, inappropriate for that particular city because of the type of city that it is. I mean, it's the most diverse city in Georgia and pretty much in the southeast. So, with that being said, a lot of it's going on behind the scenes. A lot of people don't know. So after speaking to a lot of people that just didn't know, it's like, there's a lot of people that's potentially going to be displaced. I mean, you're talking about hundreds of people that are going to be displaced with nowhere to go.
And it's
And
millions nationwide.
correct,
Absolutely. You're
yeah,
absolutely right.
it's
Yeah.
a lot going on. And so with me, the reason why I became such a target in this particular race was because I was the only one willing to expose those particular things and talk about it. And of course, in the arm of government, when you try to, be that outsider that doesn't go with the flow, then they come after you. Unfortunately, but I felt like it was the right thing to do, to alert a lot of the people that was going on, and also to remind them